So now it sounds like the Cleveland Browns are going to all but imprison Shedeur Sanders in the football sense of a very talented rookie quarterback who obviously needs reps.
There was one kind of knucklehead play call where it was 4th and 1 and we went empty. And I'm like, you got a rookie quarterback. Kevin. You got a rookie quarterback who hasn't been getting reps, and you're going to put him in empty and 4th and 1 where he's like, if there's ever a time where you got to be able to pre-snap, recognize pressure, slide protection, that know your hot checks, that's when you need to know it.
Right.
You know, the NFL just pulled off the wildest disappearing act since Houdini. But instead of rabbits, it's the fans that vanished.
Named the starter. Joe Flacco got off his couch and won Comeback Player of the Year in 2023 for the same coach. He knows what Joe Flacco can do. Joe Flacco has been doing this a long time. You can argue his run to a Super Bowl is the greatest run we've seen by a quarterback because of who he had to go through.
I don't know about that.
The preseason, no, I'm saying you can argue it. The preseason, Keith can attest to this. We've been in training camp killing our bodies. You get in a preseason game, even though you want to play, you're not turning it all the way on.
Stadiums went from packed to ghost towns faster than free beer disappears at a frat party. Shedeur Sanders got benched, and boom, all those sold-out arenas turned into awkward middle school dances, empty seats, awkward silence, and nothing but echoes of what could have been. Viewership didn't just dip, it crashed, like someone swapped N.F.L. games with reruns of tax documentaries. This league promised fireworks, but what fans got instead was the sporting equivalent of lukewarm tap water. No spark, no energy, just disappointment on replay.
So you mean to tell me the Cleveland Browns listed Shedeur Sanders as inactive today? Inactive? Yo, look, man. At this point, hey, I'm a fan of Shedeur, I'm a fan of Dion, but we just need to stop caring. Because the more people actually trying to tune in to watch Shedeur, the more they ain't gonna play him, and the more they using him for clout and clickbait. They don't want the guy. The owner don't want him. The coach don't want him. The general manager don't want him. They don't want him on the team. Obviously, the NFL do not want Shiloh or Shedeur in the league, but Shedeur is good for money and ratings, or he wouldn't even be there.
And please hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you think. The night was supposed to be electric. The Shedeur Sanders debut under the bright primetime lights. The rookie golden child, the one everyone tuned in for. But instead of fireworks, cameras cut to Joe Flacco jogging onto the field like it was 2012 again. You could practically hear the collective groan from the crowd, like everyone just realized they'd shown up to a retirement home talent show. Even the vibe in the parking lot flipped instantly. Tailgaters who'd been hyping up Shedeur's big moment were suddenly doom scrolling like their favorite app just got deleted. And those poor season ticket holders, people who practically sold a kidney for front row seats, were demanding answers from anyone who even looked like they worked for the Browns.
I hate that they took him out. To me, that was so stupid. Well, I don't care that Snoop Huntley can come in and go 1 of 1 for 7 yards in a 2-minute drill. He's not going to be on the team tomorrow. Why would you not let Shedeur have the 2-minute drill and see if he can do it? Can he shake off? We just talked about how he had poor body language. He looked defeated. Can he shake it off in the moment? Hey, I've had a bad half, but we still, as bad as I've played, we have a chance to go out and win this football game. Can I go out and orchestrate a 2-minute drive to get us into field goal range to win this football game? And instead, you put in the guy who's not going to be on the team tomorrow.
The energy was gone, and the outrage was instant. The excitement, the hype, the blind faith that Cleveland had finally found its franchise quarterback, gone. It vanished faster than steam off a frozen sidewalk. 1 minute, fans were chanting Shedeur's name, and the next, they were staring at their TVs like, wait, what just happened? Let's get something straight. This wasn't a simple lineup tweak. This was straight-up betrayal. A broken promise to a fan base that's already been through enough heartbreak to fill a Netflix docuseries. The Browns basically said, hey, remember that thing we hyped for 3 straight weeks? Yeah, never mind. Here's Joe Flacco, and then had the nerve to act like everything was fine. The N.F.L. had been hyping this matchup like it was the Super Bowl of quarterback debuts. Shedeur versus Burrow, the next great duel. 2 generational stars ready to define the future of football.
Eagles beat the Browns 17-16. The
Browns outgained the Bengals 327 to 141 and had the ball for nearly 36 minutes, but it wasn't enough. And this is why you need to find your quarterback. I don't know why y'all fooling with Joe Flacco. Y'all know Joe Flacco's not taking y'all anywhere. He's not your quarterback of your future. If I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose trying to find out who my quarterback is. That's just me. I don't care. I don't care if it's Gabriel. I don't care if it's Shedeur. I don't care who it is. I just know Joe Flacco ain't your quarterback.
It don't matter who was at the quarterback. It could have been Patrick Mahomes. It could have been. It could have been Lamar Jackson.
He missed the field. You missed the field goal and you missed the PAT.
ESPN made movie-level intros, Amazon rolled out special camera angles, and NFL Network was running full-blown tutorials on how Shedeur was going to shred Cincinnati's defense. They didn't just promote this game, they force-fed it to everyone like it was the second coming of Brady versus Manning. And then, boom, the Browns benched the one player the entire country tuned in to see. It was like promising Beyoncé at Coachella and sending out a middle school choir to sing Single Ladies. The second Joe Flacco trotted onto that field, ratings fell faster than a Kardashian marriage timeline. By halftime, only 11 million were still watching, probably holding out hope that this was some kind of prank. By the fourth quarter, that number dropped to 9 million, mostly gamblers who couldn't leave even if they wanted to. A 40% ratings drop? In NFL terms, that's a 5-alarm fire.
Because Njoku and Judy showed you through training camp, they love this kid because he's special. He got raised by the athlete I think was the greatest athlete in the history of sports. It's in his bloodlines. He was raised around stars to be a star in the National Football League. I said, again, a first guess, before last college football season, he should be the first overall pick.
Network execs were reportedly scrambling mid-game, hopping on emergency calls like NASA trying to save a doomed shuttle. Advertisers were demanding refunds, producers were panicking, and somewhere in a boardroom, some old exec in a wrinkled suit probably yelled, "Can we just deep fake Shedeur into the game?" And it wasn't just the TV ratings that tanked. The entire system took a nosedive. The NFL rakes in cash from streaming, fantasy leagues, betting apps, all of it. And every single one of those money streams dried up the second Shedeur got benched. The one guy everyone tuned in for was stuck on the sidelines, looking like somebody just stole his car. Fans don't just want football anymore, they want stars. They want showtime, drama, the moment.
It's always tough with the Browns. I think Shedeur should be quarterback number one. I think he has what it takes, and the other quarterbacks haven't been working there, and just because someone's getting paid more doesn't mean that they should be starting. That's my positioning on it.
By the third quarter, stadium sections were emptier than a Monday morning gym. Concession stands weren't packed with hungry fans. They were filled with angry ones. People were venting at anyone unfortunate enough to be wearing a Browns cap. Even the merch stands turned into chaos. Shedeur jerseys, which had been flying off shelves for weeks, started coming back in droves. One vendor even said it felt like Black Friday in reverse. Instead of buying, people were returning. That's how deep the betrayal cut. But this wasn't just a fan meltdown. Even Shedeur himself didn't see it coming. Word is, he found out he wasn't starting barely an hour before kickoff, after doing all his warm-ups, after locking in mentally for the biggest night of his career. Imagine getting dressed for your own wedding, tux pressed, vows ready, and then being told you're just sitting in the back while your ex marries someone else.
All the things, I don't believe, there's no conspiracies, there's no blackballing. That was so stupid. I will never understand that in a million years, why you would take him out in that. You just drafted him. You don't want to see him get those reps and see what he can do, see if he can overcome the bad play, see if he can get out of his head and go out there and lead a drive, have a short memory. Instead, you put him on the bench and let Snoop Huntley go 1 of 1 for 7 yards. What did we learn? What did we learn about anything? We learned nothing. The only thing we learned is that our backup kicker is better than our starting kicker.
Which we already knew. So
That's the level of humiliation he felt. Teammates reportedly saw him lose it, tossing his helmet, storming toward the locker room until veterans had to step in and cool him down. You could feel the tension, even through the TV screen. And the defining image of that night, it wasn't a touchdown or a highlight reel throw. It was Shedeur, standing alone on the sideline, helmet off, arms crossed, face frozen between fury and heartbreak. A young star robbed of his moment. Meanwhile, Stefanski's confidence in Flacco act fooled nobody. The move didn't just kill the game, it killed the vibe. The decision didn't just ruin the game, it split the whole locker room apart. Offensive players who'd been building real chemistry with Shedeur were suddenly forced to slow everything down to match Joe Flacco's limitations. Receivers had to cut their routes short because the ball was coming in like it was delivered by carrier pigeon. And that O-line, already hanging on by a thread, now had to protect a literal statue in the pocket with zero escape plan. It was chaos on every snap. Meanwhile, the defense was gassed, carrying the team week after week, only to watch their effort wasted by an offense moving slower than dial-up internet.
Cleveland Browns, man, their fans are showing their frustrations with Kevin Stefanski and Joe Flacco after their Week 1 loss to the Cincinnati Bengals, 17-16. It's a lot of blaming going around and a lot of finger pointing.
The Browns deserve to lose this game. Their coaches can't make any good decisions. First of all, out of all the quarterbacks on their depth chart, they choose Joe Flacco to start the game. Second of all, they also chose this kicker over Dustin Hopkins. Dustin Hopkins would have made every single field goal that this man missed. So Browns fans, don't blame your kicker that you lost. You need to blame Kevin Stefanski because that man cannot make a correct depth chart decision to save his life.
You could see the frustration building in every sideline shot. But the real fireworks, they were happening upstairs. Jimmy Haslam, the guy who handpicked Shedeur, poured millions into his brand, and built marketing campaigns around his face, was reportedly livid watching ratings crash live on national TV. This wasn't just bad coaching, it was financial sabotage. And if there's one thing NFL owners hate more than losing games, it's losing money. Fans thought the embarrassment ended when the clock hit 0, but they had no idea the real drama was just beginning. Stefanski's decision was basically the football version of microwaving a frozen pizza for 2 minutes and then wondering why it's still raw in the middle. By the next morning, every sports show turned into a full-blown roast. Former quarterbacks were calling it coaching malpractice. Analysts were laughing in disbelief, and media personalities who usually scream about nonsense finally had something to agree on. Shedeur being benched wasn't just a mistake, it was sabotage, plain and simple. The memes alone could have powered Cleveland's broken offense for an entire season.
People are fed up, dude. People are sick of waiting. Like, we started the show saying don't book your trip to San Francisco for the Super Bowl. That's not what people want to hear. This is a GM and a head coach that inherited a roster with Baker Mayfield on his rookie deal, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett. You beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. People are fed up. Like, you mentioned 6 games, Daryl. Look at the first 6. Like they got to find a way to win some ball games because people have had it with this regime. And I don't blame them. It's time to start winning some games, and it's time to get serious.
Stephen A's reaction face turned into an instant viral loop. Pure internet gold. Pat McAfee didn't even bother with a segment. One sarcastic line from him lit up every feed within minutes. And Colin Cowherd? He dropped a full-on monologue, calling it the most self-destructive coaching call in modern NFL history. When the national media, a group that lives off chaos, all agrees you went too far, you know you've officially detonated a nuclear bomb under your own franchise. Then came the gambling fallout, and it was brutal. Sportsbooks had set all their lines assuming Shedeur was starting, and the second he wasn't, thousands of furious bettors flooded customer service lines. People were demanding answers, yelling about fantasy teams getting obliterated because Cleveland pulled a last-minute bait and switch. Prop bets were worthless, parlays exploded, and fantasy owners were staring at their 0-point quarterbacks like, should we sue the Browns for emotional damages? Just think about that for a second. One coach's decision didn't just wreck a football game, it sent shockwaves through a billion-dollar betting ecosystem. This wasn't some minor lineup shuffle. This was an economic earthquake. And here's the wildest part. The N.F.L. itself was knee-deep in the mess. The league had been hyping Shedeur as one of its future faces. Entire marketing campaigns revolved around him. Glossy promos, custom highlight reels, even broadcast partners pouring money into special camera setups just to capture his every move.
Pitted them against each other when they took one guy in the 3rd round and the other in the 5th. And then brought a quarterback kerfuffle to camp and gave 3 guys a chance and 1 guy not a chance. So when the one guy that gave no serious chance to win this job went out there and outplayed everybody but the guy who started the job, it should be on record. That is the whole point. This exercise was, how do you roll these guys out? What chance do you give? Three guys were given a chance. And before Dylan's hamstring injury, which gave Shedeur the opportunity, and not anything else, that gave him the opportunity to Wally Pip him, which hasn't happened. Before that, they were very seriously doing everything they could to prop Dylan up to see if he could challenge.
I mean,
Joe Flacco.
They sold the dream, and then Cleveland pulled the plug. The fallout, legendary, for all the wrong reasons. Every pregame promo, every interview, every hype clip, all centered on him. Shedeur was the headline, the story, the main event. And then, on the big night, he never even touched the field. Imagine spending millions promoting a blockbuster movie, plastering the star actor on every billboard, and when the lights go up, boom, it's just a stunt double reading the lines. That's exactly how this disaster played out, and the cracks started showing instantly on social media. Younger players were out here liking posts calling for Shedeur to start, some even resharing memes mocking Stefanski's decision. Even the vets who tried to play it cool couldn't hide their frustration completely. You didn't need inside sources. The locker room tension was visible. It wasn't just divided, it was crumbling. Meanwhile, ownership was furious. Jimmy Haslam, the guy who pushed for drafting Shedeur in the first place, had to sit there watching the entire empire collapse in real time. The NFL had projected higher ticket sales, bigger merch numbers, and record-breaking ratings, all built around Shedeur's debut. That was the business model, and Stefanski torched it in one night like a match to gasoline. Marketing budgets, gone. Sponsorships, shaking. Season ticket renewals, dropping faster than stocks in a crash. One insider even said Haslam was pacing like a man watching his portfolio implode right before his eyes. And honestly, he was. Because this wasn't just a game loss. This was brand destruction. Owners don't fire coaches just for losing. They fire them for costing money. And with every empty stadium seat, every refunded jersey, and every canceled Prime subscription, Stefanski's seat was heating up faster than a frying pan left in the oven. And in the NFL, nothing makes billionaires madder than realizing one of their own just shrunk the money pie.
I think the problem is that you forget this is a team sport sometimes, because there's such a spotlight on you because of certain points in the game and what happened. And what you got to remember is that we've all been in a situation where we've all made mistakes before that have been a big part of costing us a football game. You got to shake it. It's not just on you. It's a team sport. We're all going to be in there and rally together. Nobody wants to be in that situation.
While chaos spread across Cleveland, Shedeur kept his silence. No interviews, no cryptic tweets, nothing. But in today's N.F.L., silence speaks louder than any press conference. Word from his camp started leaking out. Shedeur felt blindsided, humiliated, and maybe even ready to find a way out if things didn't change fast. Then his father, Shedeur Sanders, stepped in with those perfectly timed cryptic posts, talking about knowing your worth and never staying where you're not valued. Subtle? Not even close. But effective? Oh, absolutely. The message was clear. The Sanders family wasn't happy, and the league took notice. What started as a simple benching instantly turned into a league-wide story. Other teams started circling like sharks, wondering if Cleveland's dysfunction could be their chance to snatch a franchise quarterback. Agents began whispering about new contract clauses, ones that protect young stars from being sabotaged by insecure coaches trying to prove a point. Even the NFLPA started poking around, questioning whether the Browns' decision broke an unspoken rule about competitive integrity. By midweek, the damage reports were in, and they were ugly. Merchandise sales, cratered, season ticket calls, flooded, not with buyers, but cancellations. Corporate sponsors started sweating, not wanting their logos attached to a franchise that just benched its biggest draw. Cleveland wasn't just losing games anymore. They were bleeding money. Shedeur wasn't just a quarterback. He was a brand, a walking highlight reel, a ratings machine, an engagement magnet. Benching him was like shutting down your city's power plant and then acting shocked when everything goes dark. Stefanski thought he was flexing authority, showing he could make the tough calls. But all he really did was expose how shaky his grip on that locker room and that franchise truly was. In today's NFL, coaches who don't understand the entertainment side of the business aren't leaders. They're relics, and in Cleveland, the meteor just hit. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because this story isn't cooling down anytime soon. See you on the next one.